welcome. We're at 5 o'clock. We're going to have the cemetery committee at this point, and I guess it's the reading of the minutes. Steve?
Read them out loud?
Nah,
Which minutes?
just
from
say
November?
approval or not approval, or whatever we want to do with them.
I approve it, 'cause I wrote them.
I had read them. Anybody else have a problem with them? I know that he sent them out a little early to us. So
Absolutely
you
not.
want to make a motion?
A motion that we accept the November 30th minutes of the cemetery committee meeting.
Second?
Motion has been made and seconded. All those approve? All those deny? We're ready to roll. Next thing on the agenda will be the meeting. Old business and new? I'll let you handle that, Steve.
All right, business cards.
Yay, we got some right in front of you.
Oh, nice.
Yes, we got
They're
business
good. They're
cards.
nice.
You can read them, unlike the ones I get.
Tell me what you think.
And then you put your information on the bottom, or on the back, or whatever. Just enough to get us started, and...
Well, that's 500. There were 500 cards.
Holy cow.
So,
Yeah.
I mean,
We can all
five
take a...
people, 500 cards, everybody get 100, you know.
You know,
Or,
take a
you know,
little bit.
possibly 200 for you and, you know,
Yeah, the rest of us get 10.
All right.
but
So
No,
you
they
like
were-
the cards? Yes?
Yeah.
No, fine? Okay.
they were very reasonable. Actually, the cards were $9.99 and then shipping fee, so the bill came to $16. No biggie.
Do you want to be reimbursed?
No, I don't give a darn about being reimbursed $16
Well,
and change.
You've been offered, you can, you know how that
I
goes.
understand that. There was no slip included when these were delivered
That's all right.
as
I
far
really
as
do like-
whatnot, so
All I have to do is write a letter.
I don't care.
Okay.
I throw $16 away.
Well, throw it my way next year.
Stop it.
Okay, next.
Flags and flag holder purchases. We did get one gross of flags from Flag Waivers in Waterboro. I have them now. You gave them to me, last month, month before? I still haven't done it yet. I'm gonna double staple the top of them.
Just make sure you count them, because I'm not,
Yeah.
And if they are too bad, to let us know, because that's what happened last year, when they were too bad. They exchanged them with us.
Okay, yeah, they're still in a box. I haven't taken them out to inspect them or anything like that, but I'll definitely do that. And we need to come up with, how many flag holders we want to get. I know there's some veterans that we know that don't have a flag holder. And then there's some with flag holders that are just not in good shape that do need to be replaced.
Have we got a count on the number of veterans?
I know my book is fairly accurate up to Acton Corner, Sanborn, Bragg, and Maple Grove. I don't have accurate numbers for those three cemeteries.
Because if we knew how many veterans we actually have, then we could go, well, we might need, say there's 100 veterans, which I'm sure there are more, but, we could say, well, all right, let's order, 50 holders, or, because we don't know for sure exactly how many holders we actually need.
I think maybe we should order them as we go by.
What we
Go
ought to
on.
do is get together and when we do it, maybe hopefully before May, we can get together and make sure we have what we need to have to make it happen before Memorial. That way, we're not ordering, we'll order like in a group, we'll order a group of. Now, do we still want to do the theme of what war they did, as long as we can? Is that still going to be
Yeah.
our goal?
I would like that.
I would like that also, I just want to make sure it's still going to be our goal.
And if they didn't
It
serve
sounds,
in the war,
very good, but, you have to identify,
The dates and years are pretty good about identification.
oh, I know that, I'm just saying, you have World War II veterans, you have World War I veterans, you have War of 1812 veterans, you have Revolutionary War veterans, Spanish-American War.
Yep.
So you're looking at least a half a dozen different
The thing
holders.
with them is that the price of the holders don't change too much for where we get them.
Mhm.
They vary maybe a couple bucks, but nothing extreme. And as long as we don't get the what are they, the best ones there that cost like,
Oh, like bronze or something like
yeah.
that. And don't get the cheapy plastic ones.
No, as long as we stay kind of that middle grade, like I think they've tried to do, we'll be fine. It's just that, we can't, we can't, I don't want to go totally cheap.
So a question comes to mind then, see, we go out this spring and there's a Civil War veteran who has a Civil War type holder that's broken. Can we buy just one, or do we have to buy,
Well,
is there a minimum number that we have to buy
There's
of the
really-
Civil War, of the Korean War?
there's really not a minimum of what we gotta buy. The biggest thing is shipping. If we do, I think, what is it, over $75 is free shipping? But they won't take long. Two, if not three of those will make it over 75.
Yeah, and I think if you order more, I think maybe the price
Yeah,
might
the
go
price
down, so-
goes down a little bit, but my biggest thing is that I'd like to, like, in other words, if we needed 10, I'd like to get the 10 done versus ordering 2 and then figuring out we need 7 more, you know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm thinking, that we get, you've got generic ones, right? Ones that don't have a war, it's just a
Yeah.
holder.
Right.
Get a good amount of those, see what we need for broken war-specific ones, and then we can order the war-specific ones. We'll have them, we'll take them up, put the generic one up,
Mhm.
record,
Oh,
don't
yeah.
forget, you want to record
Yeah.
whose is whose, and then when they come in, then we can place them
Because
with these specific ones.
I
That's
know,
my thinking, because then you can order a good bunch of them.
well, that's kind of what I was thinking too. My biggest thing is what we want to do is, and obviously our goal is to have it probably before the 1st of May, if we can get out there. Weather pending, obviously, we're not going to go ice skating, and we're not going to freeze our butts off. And
Never,
Well, it'd be around the temporals
we had
anyway.
ice till the end of April last year, so you never
Yeah.
know how.
So our goal is to have them before Memorial. If we can't, we'll do the best we can. We're going to make sure everybody gets a flag this year, especially the ones that we missed. Not intentionally, it was just when we went out looking at cemeteries, we accidentally missed a few. And a lot of it is not because of anything we did, just because we weren't thinking. Personally, I was not thinking about that.
Did they get missed because you didn't know it was a veteran?
I
or-
didn't know they were veterans when they got missed
All
at
right,
the
so
time.
it wasn't like it was written that they were in this
Well, the-
war?
Thing is like, for instance, the 2 that are up at the other end of town, I didn't even realize they were even in the service at all until we went and looked, and then, of course, Steve verified both of them, and then we were all together when we found the second one. And we didn't realize it, and the wife, and unfortunately, the family didn't say anything, and either they didn't realize what we do, or they just didn't think about it, and we didn't know until we went out looking that we actually found the 2 that were missed, and I totally apologize for that. And I can't be any more sorrier because, on a one lot of them all was always been the theory, and if we don't know, it is, I guess, what it is.
Well, just this past year, without our venture at the end of last year, there were some, militia guys that we found this year that weren't flagged.
Right,
So, that was like 3 of them, I think.
at least 3.
And then, one of the firefighters in Acton Corner was a National Guardsman.
Right.
So, it's,
And then, of course, his grandfather was in some type of a service too, so, this is stuff we're finding as we go along, going, oh my, the dates work, the things work, and so, a lot of it this year, because it was mostly Steve and I, he'd go out with them in our volunteer services, and then he'd get a hold of me, and I'd stay home and do a lot of computer work, and between us, we'd figure out, well, he was in this war, he was this place, so on and so forth. And that's about what we had been doing. And then of course, we have 6 cemeteries that he was maintaining, that I'd meet him every now and again, or we'd catch up with each other and talk about different stuff. But other than that, we had our volunteer list, which they were terrific. A lot of them went above and beyond, which was very nice. I'm hoping they stick with us again this year, everything willing, and hopefully we can gather more, because the more we got, the better off we're going to be in the long run.
After dealing with the Brackett Cemetery, more is better.
Yes,
yes.
yes.
All right, cool. So maybe by next month, we'll come up with just an initial purchase, what we can.
As far as flags or as far?
Holders.
Yeah, or holders, okay. Yeah, we can,
I
of
think,
generic ones.
yeah,
yeah, maybe we can get,
'cause some of the generic ones that we have out there are just, they're awful,
yeah,
and they need to be replaced.
So you might as well get a good chunk of them. They'll carry over and
okay. And, where we go, what site I look on, just to help you out, is Flag Waivers.
so Flag Waivers also has holders.
Yes. It's online. It's a different, well,
I've bought
we
from
can-
Flag Waivers.
yeah. It also has, not the one in Waterboro, but, well, the one in Waterboro does
Yeah, that's the
also.
one that I've used.
But there's another one on, that, Ron Revad uses. It's called I think it's called Flag Waivers, isn't it called?
Is it the same
US
company, or is it just
Same,
the
it's
same
a
name,
different
different-
company.
All right.
It's a
just
little
used the
bit
one in Waterboro.
generic, and they're a little bit, better price-wise, because I think a lot of it is because they sell more. I mean, I think Steve's got your email, maybe he can zip it off to you, but, because they sell more in bulk than what Waterboro does, they give us a better purchase. Which is not saying that local isn't good, it's just, because we're fixed on what we have for money, it is what it is, I guess. So when we want to plan for next month, well, the problem is, you can't go out and about.
Never know. They start tapping trees in February, so
Well, why don't we wing it and see how cold it gets between now and then, and I'm not going out in this weather, I'm not going skating. And I know down well, if you even head from Maple Grove at this point, you're skating across the
Just a
lawn.
few crunches.
So the budget paperwork and timeline. We have the initial one-page kind of, this is what we'd like, budget. My suggestion is, because now we have a full committee, and we have a full year of a full committee now, we just go with the budget that we're allowed, I guess, without adding a lot of extra.
Well, the budget that they usually allow is $2,700. And the selectmen have asked for a flat line budget for this year, or no more than 1.5% increase. So,
The 1.5% is just under, actually, we get 2750 from
Yeah, we get
last year.
2750.
So it's like 2791. So if we can we ask for 2,800 and just,
I would go with the 28. The most they're gonna do is look at what you've got and say, you're up 10 cents more than you should be, or whatever the heck it is.
well, as long as they, right now our balance is 5722.
Yeah, but some of that has to do with the 6 cemeteries we have.
Understand that we have some in reserve accounts. So
that's-
actually, the reserve accounts are almost $3,300. So take 33 away from 27, and that leaves you 22. So actually, our balance is approximately $2,200. So if we go out and ask for 28, I don't think that anybody's going to shoot us in the head, foot, or anywhere else. The thing that hopefully they realize is, this is a lot of work, okay? There is a lot of work that has to be done, a lot of more investigation, more cleanup work. I mean, God help us when we go looking down on, what was that one that,
Perkins?
no, the one that is down off from Man Road, where you take a right.
Oh,
and go
Rogers.
all the way, yeah, when you go back down in there, God help us see what that looks like, come spring.
yeah.
I mean, there could be, half a dozen trees down.
the ones with the leaning trees?
Yeah, the ones that
Yeah,
you
the ones that
wanna
you
be-
wanted to leave quickly.
So, there's
Yeah.
going to be, after
And
that big storm we had a couple months ago, windstorm, I checked the ones on
But you can see,
109,
yeah.
but we haven't been to the ones in the woods. So it's, I'm expecting the worst too, which.
Oh, yeah,
gonna
I've been
take-
dreading it. It's like, oh, my Lord, because Well, even, even the one that we found toward the end of Man Road, not Man Road, H Road, the one that, our buddy with the
Yeah,
pistol.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean,
that
you know,
one's,
That one, I would guarantee you, there's at
Wow.
least one or two trees down. Guarantee it. I'd be shocked if they weren't. Just, some of the other places that, that we've gone that, the other end, behind what's-his-name's house there, the one that we went the
Oh,
long
what's his
way.
name?
Oh, you mean Bill Lotz's
Yes,
place?
behind Bill Lott's house.
yeah, way in the back of the field.
Now, that one wasn't too bad.
No, because Bill told me
To
he
get
would
to
take
it
care
now,
of
to get to it now, Bill Lott says just go right through, no
it.
problem.
Oh, Jay.
Make sure you pull
But,
that door.
I'm
Pull
quite
it, make
sure
sure
that
it's
there may be a tree down there too, because some of that
Old
stuff
building.
is old, very old, and not necessarily in healthy condition, and with all the wind that we've had, and, even though we haven't had a monstrous ice storm, just the ice storm, the freezing rain, et cetera, that we've had of late, I mean, you look at some places, you're driving down the road, and all of a sudden you go, whoa, move over, because there's a white birch that's,
Couple on my road.
so. But I don't think that they'll fight us about a $2,800 request.
So let's, I don't think I have the timeline with me of when.
Did you actually, you
Oh,
have the
yeah, right here.
paperwork, do you actually
I do.
have the paperwork that I can pass in today to Jennifer for the 28th?
I don't think I printed it off.
28th? That's not on my timeline.
February 2nd?
Yeah, February 2nd
Yeah.
is the deadline for
That's why,
the budget input.
I know
I
I
didn't
didn't
know if
print
you-
it out. Of all the things I printed out, I didn't print
Yeah.
out that
I
breakdown.
don't have the request with me. I figured, because Steve puts a big letter, says, I'll print them out.
Yeah, except for that.
Well, if somebody could print it out, as Steve has the budget part of it, if you could print it out, Steve, and just say we request, because it actually, it's at home, signature, it's actually, probably my signature would be needed.
Okay, so I'll,
That's the only
Not
thing we
looking
need
good.
is what, that piece of paper that you
Trail is
said.
going cold.
yeah,
Yeah,
crickets.
it's all right, it's just that one piece of paper that we need, not a big, not a big deal.
So you're gonna,
I can, is that the
out-
one that you sent me?
yeah,
I thought this was one of the ones you sent
Yeah.
me.
I
It's
assumed
just a-
that was
What
the
I can
final
do
one.
is, I can print that, I'll print that out. I'll do two things. One, I'll print it out, and two, I'll send it up here to Michelle and Jennifer. I'll tag it if I can and see if I can send it up to them too.
And did it have 2,800 as a request?
Yes.
It did, all right,
Yes.
so we're all set as
28?
far as.
Yes,
It actually had $2,800 on it
yes,
as a requested amount?
yes.
Cool. We are
We are golden.
complete.
Yes. He's on board.
He's gonna double check. Second guessing himself.
doc. Budget, here we go. Or no, that was reply.
Because it's one of the ones we had attachments to. Because he actually showed where the equipment list was also with that one.
Bang, bang.
See, and I don't have access like he does.
All right, to the Board of Selectmen, blah, blah, blah. The amount requested for the maintenance of cemeteries in 2019 is $2,800. This amount will fund the upkeep and ongoing restoration of cemeteries in accordance with Maine state statutes, as well as supply flags and flag holders, town-owned tools, and reimburse expenses incurred while working on the cemeteries respectively submitted.
It'll be myself.
Cool.
So-
Sounds good.
And I dated it for February 2nd.
Which is fine, which is what, yeah.
Okay.
I'll make sure one way or the other they get, as long as it's still in my email, I'll make sure one way or the other.
So once that gets submitted, then they'll get back to you.
When it does is it gets submitted and there's a process we have to go through. It goes from there to the selectmen, then the selectmen do a process, or does it go to warrant and finance first?
Well, actually,
I can't remember, but anyway, there's a process.
It'll get bumped to warrant and finance will make a recommendation, and then it gets thrown back to the Board of Selectmen for their approval or modification.
Right, and you're looking at two of us that sit on the warrant and finance.
So,
And we can, and the only thing is, Steve, you'll probably have to be prepared to talk that day, even though I can. I just have to remove myself from the seat.
I thought,
The 17th, whatever day that is in
March
March.
17. Yeah, I thought, if it was just like,
All you do is come in, you get a 15-minute presentation, basically, why do you want money?
no, I thought if we just submitted the basic one. You still gotta talk?
Yes.
All right.
It's just basically, like I told somebody, because all you do is basically, why you want the money, 20 questions, and
maybe 20 questions, maybe
Maybe
no
one,
question,
maybe
maybe,
nothing.
you know,
they give you a slot time. Usually, it's not, we try to do most of it, most before noon time. Try to be done before 1.
Okay.
So, most of the time. But that's how they did last year. I can't talk how they're gonna do it this year, but
All right. VA paperwork and vets needing stones. I know the herds, there's 2 at the herds. I know I haven't done any kind
I
of
haven't-
research.
I have not reached out to Mark or Susan yet, which, and I don't know if they would have paperwork. I could ask them, maybe they have some form of paperwork, because the only thing we have is genealogy, and unfortunately, the VA does not take genealogy. So I'm not 100% certain
And
how,
they don't have any discharge paper. Well, actually, what war are these?
Revolution.
Never mind.
Yeah, they're not gonna
Should have
have.
asked that question before I.
there
Yeah.
probably
That's a
isn't
stupid
any
question.
discharge
They
paperwork.
probably got it walked off the line and came home with their discharge. When you're done, but no.
Well, we'll submit what we can and see what the government says. There's gotta be, documents, like, the Book of the Revolutionary War Soldiers or something to.
Well, that's what I was thinking a DAR might have, because I know you in order to be a DAR member, they have to, you can go through them. In other words.
They
you-
do genealogy too, so how
But
is it that it's
DAR
okay?
goes a little differently than the government does, for some reason. Of course, think of it this way, if you were dishing out money because I said so, because my genealogy says this guy was in this war, they're not gonna, how many stones are we gonna dish out? And I can understand it, in a way, but
Well,
in
you
another
know.
way, if you have all these other books that say, yes, X, Y, and Z was in this war, you don't have, what do they call it, a discharge, there's a certain number for the DDS.
214.
DD 214.
You don't have one of them.
DD
at that time.
214s only go back so far, as
Right.
far as wars go,
Right,
okay? World War II, yes. Korean War, yes. Vietnam, yes. World War I, I'm not sure if
yes,
they
because my
issued.
stepfather had to have one when he was adult.
Okay. Going back further than that,
Then,
you know, chances are pretty slim.
Right.
You never know. I guarantee you, it's, if there is the equivalent of a DD-214 from something prior to World War I, it's not going to look anything like what a DD-214 looks like.
I mean, we have
Yeah,
what
et
they
cetera.
call those roster things, and I don't know if they would go by that or not, the roster list, or the musters.
And also, the deeds office should have records, like for where they lived.
Here would not be here, it'd be Shapley, and it's a 50-50 shot.
Even Alfred, though.
Yeah. Because, most of it was Shapley. The only discharge I know on, Jethro actually came when he went from, it was another genealogy book, it's from Dover, because that's actually where Jethro was from, is Dover.
Can you, whatever you have, whatever you submitted before, and talk to the herds, can you, bring stuff next month?
I can try to find it again, yeah.
All right, I'm putting you down.
Yeah, right.
Put her down, put her down.
Put me down all you want, it doesn't mean it won't happen.
Her responsibility.
Roland, guess who's gonna help?
All couple of MOCA questions. We had asked last time about cemeteries cannot be developed within 25 feet. The question we had last time was, does that include the trees that are, like, you got a walled cemetery, the trees that are outside of that, does that include that? And I was gonna ask MOCA if they knew anything about that, because I usually like to have a 5 to 10 foot buffer outside a cemetery just to keep it clean and stuff not falling in. But is that within the state statutes, is that legal, I guess, or should we go out 25 feet and that's it? I never did ask, but I will put it on my agenda now. But then Lois was mentioning something the other day that at Maple Grove Cemetery, Hebo Road, which goes from the cemetery down Lebanon, right? It's just a ATV trail now or something.
It's really,
Maple Grove.
Hebo is on the corner of where Maple Grove is to, obviously, Milton Mills Road. The town,
Now you're confusing me.
now,
Where are you?
Okay,
Before you
know
get
where
to the
Maple Grove
cemetery.
Cemetery is?
Yeah.
Before you get to that
Which is
is
the
right,
dirt road.
it's the dirt
I
road.
didn't know that was
It
Hebo
was,
Yes.
Hebo
it's
still.
technically been closed off twice.
Right.
Well, the Conservation Committee here in town would like to reopen it as a recreation area, because we
Trail.
have
There's hiking
property
trails up
out
there.
back. My problem lies is that, now I'm gonna take myself out of your committee, and I'm gonna bring myself in as Maple Grove. Our statute is anybody that's back there, we've always told the cops, come pick them up, come do what you want, blah, 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 blah. And do what your prosecution that you have to do, whether it's telling them to stay out, whether it's telling whatever, because our understanding of the road has always been closed, unless you own property back there. And even at that point, supposedly when they closed it a couple years ago, we went to the center of the road. Well, because they closed it twice, back in the 1800s, and then they came and closed it again in 1930 something, like 36 and 35. The selectmen in town closed it again then. When they closed it, they said it was a dangerous road and they didn't want anybody out there and blah, 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 blah. So, but since then, our conservation committee here in town has decided they'd like to have the town reopen the road to recreation and conservation, because we own property out there. My only contention is because we are right there on the corner, we've had abstained a lot of damages. We've abstained them from dirt bikes flying, pebbles, and, trucks out there thinking they're mudding and they fly up. The damages of abstaining are really getting to the point of where, at one point, we had one family that was actually going to sue Maple Grove because of damages, because that's our department. We aren't supposed to let damages happen. So this past year, we actually discussed as a cemetery association about putting up a barricade. In other words, taking our half, they thought at our time, our half of the road and barricading it, just staying away from where we have to stay. Well, of course, now that the town would like to reopen it, either as an easement or as an ATV trail, or a recreation trail. I'm not really 100% certain which way they're really aiming at. I don't know where that leaves the cemetery association, or where it even leaves us as a group, because technically, no matter what hat I'm wearing, our job is to protect the cemeteries and what was within it. My job as Maple Grove is to protect the cemetery along with the trustees to make sure no damages occur. So, but we will also put trees and stuff on the outside of the stone wall, because we've got a red maple and a few other things, to try to deteriorate, so when the ATVs go through, they kind of have to stay away from it. But we're finding that that's not helping, because we've got 3 or 4 stones down there that have back damage. And one of them is Tommy's. One of them is another neighbor that her husband was buried there prior to, and a few others that are right there on that corner. I don't know, we aren't 100% certain if it's the family's issue or our issue, because it's there and it's under our protection, or at this point, where do we turn? I was hoping that myself personally, not on either side, not on this committee or that committee, was was hoping that some of the state statutes and laws would be something we can oppose on. In other words, a 25-foot barrier to stay away from us. Somebody said about the ancestry law they have, which is where we have Revolutionary War soldiers and Revolutionary War soldiers there, that they might have to stay away from it because of that, because of the ancestry, the historical part and the ancestry part of it. I don't know if we qualify for that either.
Because that part of the cemetery is not the old part.
Well, no, but we have them we have new and old. That's the problem. We're upstate. As a cemetery association member, our goal is to protect the cemetery and the members within it. Okay, and whatever is around it. That's why we ended up putting up fencing a few years ago. Somebody got smart and decided to break the locks in the fencing a few years ago. They asked if we would replace the locks, and we said, why? So the next person can break them too, instead of making a phone. If you want in, all you have to do is make a phone call. If you want to break in, I can make a phone call to the police officers, which I did. But it's a no-win situation, because in the spring, that length of road becomes muddy. Real muddy. And the kids and whoever else wants to go out and play plays in it. But those that don't want to try to use the cemetery to go through. Now, that being said, like I said, I'm wearing the Maple Road part of the world at this point.
So, beside the cemetery is private property, so there's no way to reroute Hebo-Hibo out of the cemetery. They're taking it back as eminent domain, is what you're saying.
Well, they said that, number one, you can only close a road for 10 years.
And it's been closed on.
Okay, it's been closed a lot longer than 10 years. There are certain things that are required for you to do it legally, okay? And probably the town has not done it legally, okay? However, you have landowners that have property along the Hebo-Hibo Road, all the way from Acton to the Lebanon side. You cannot, by state law, you cannot keep somebody out from their property. You can't landlock them.
Right, so
Okay.
the happy medium
So-
would be to reroute that road.
Well, you're not going to
Or it goes
reroute the
around
Hibo
cemetery.
Road.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
So now, they've thrown it at the lawyers, and the lawyers
not much.
Are of the opinion that even if the road is closed, the town still has an easement, 3 rods.
And there's places where 3 rods isn't even in that room.
Okay,
It's still
well, 3
considered a
rods,
length, just
3
like a furlong.
yeah, well, three rods is close to 40 feet wide. Okay, the road, the Hebo-Hibo Road is not 40 feet wide in any area from one end to the other. The road has been changed quite a bit since that one individual built his home up there. He's done improvement work, such as grading, etc. But it's a legal hassle right now. She has problems, obviously, being as the road entryway to the Hibo is right beside the fence of the cemetery, okay? In order for you to get any further, once you go past the cemetery, there's a wooden bridge that's there, okay? Well, that wooden bridge was built and put there by one of the landowners, and they're not up on that end of the Hibo either. They're right down on this end. At any point in time, he could say, the heck with this, and take his bridge down.
Well, that also brings up the issue, if they're going to open it to the public, is that bridge safe? Even
Well,
for
it dep-
ATVs. I mean, how old is that bridge and how sturdy is it?
Oh, it's pretty damn sturdy.
But if you have constant traffic, like, not everyone is very nice and careful when they use
Put it this
their
way, they use that bridge
ATVs.
hauling timber out of there when they cut a long time ago.
A long time ago.
Okay. But still, irregardless, the question comes up, what kind of access, as far as the Conservation Committee is concerned and what they're trying to do, okay? They want to open it back up so that you can go from Acton to Lebanon on the Hebo-Haibo Road. Okay, what kind of access are they talking about? Are you talking about foot traffic? You're talking about bikes? You're talking about ATVs? You're talking about motor vehicles? I mean, I've driven the Haibo to a point. There's one point where there's a pond on this side and a pond on this side and a ditch that's probably a good 3 to 4 feet deep. And I didn't want to take my truck across that, even though there are people who do it all the time. But irregardless, if the town has an easement, what kind of an easement is it? Is it for foot traffic, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Those are questions that, they've got to answer. As far as, the cemetery fighting, the cemetery was under the understanding that they owned half of that road. In other words, put a line down the middle of that road that goes from Milton Mills Road, the pavement, up to the bridge. And the cemetery was under the understanding that they owned half of that.
We understood when they closed the road that the middle came to wherever half was.
So, it's a big battle.
And the biggest thing is like I said, we have to figure out where we're at that point. Not only that, we need to protect what's in there, and we need to figure out how to protect it. And I don't know what kind of a ongoing agenda this is going to be. I don't know. Now, two things. I don't know how much the Maple Grove Cemetery Association has to get involved to figure out what's going on. And then second of all, I don't know how much, as a cemetery committee, that we have to get involved in to see what's going on. Because either way, it involves, unfortunately or fortunately, either way, it involves me, because I'm on both. But you guys have to see it as you see it, as either by our state statutes or by law. I mean, I don't expect you, because of who I am and because of where I sit, to go in favor of what I do. It's whatever the law is.
Well, you got different, there's different examples.
Exactly.
Okay, like if you look right up on 109, right up by Smith's Orchard, okay, there's a cemetery that sits between Wild Willie's
Good ones.
and the Goodwin Cemetery. How far away from 109 is that cemetery sitting? Okay, so,
Yeah, but we
You
don't
can-
have half as much damage in that.
I understand that, but, when you start looking at whether or not someone can build, obviously the state built 109 closer than 25 feet from the cemetery, okay? Another example you got down in Sanford, out where, just before you get to the Rotary,
Yeah, that one.
on the
cemetery there.
on the left-hand side, if you're going toward the Rotary, there's a cemetery that sits back. Now, they just went in there and cleared all around that, and the land is up for sale. How far away is that particular cemetery from the actual road? I would say probably no more than 30 feet, if that. Okay? So, I mean, there's different examples of what people have done, et cetera, that, whether or not they're done illegally, what justification that they felt, supported their, cause as far as, well, we're going to build this road right here. Obviously, the state said, hey.
But there's also, for an easement, there's two different things for this.
No.
This is what people are forgetting. Technically, we own what they call the underneath to the middle of the road. The surface is what they call the easement, which allows the people to travel across. Because I actually have another piece of property that I personally own, and this is how it works. We own under, people are allowed to travel across the top, but the damages can't be done. Any damages that are done are responsible for the person who travels across the top. this is the other thing that people don't realize. I'm still wearing my Maple Road, just to let you know. I'm also talking to people up north who actually deal with private road easements and all this stuff. They know more about it than I do, because of where they live, it's happening all the time up there. So they deal with it, and they are more than willing to come down here and talk, whatever talk they have to, that really about the end. So, they've told me several times that they're more than willing to come down, talk to whoever they need to talk to, explain what they know, because they'll tell you, the first thing they tell you, they're not lawyers, they're only like us. They work with the statutes that they have, and they work with what they know, and they're more than willing to explain it to all of us at that point. And I'm hoping, because this is actually the Conservation's call, I'm hoping that the Conservation and the Board of Selectmen will allow that to happen, that these people that are independent will come down and actually talk to all of us, so we know where we stand, versus trying to figure out everything else, and that we were all on the same page, whether it's right or wrong. That's what my goal is. Now, everybody done with me as far as answering questions on Maple Grove?
We'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
All right, I'm coming back.
All right, I don't know. Solution, it's whether the right-of-way easement, whatever you want to do, you could always put a stockade fence on the
And
inside,
that's what we were thinking.
which would protect the stones anyway, and it could look, nice.
Where are you putting that fence?
I'd put it just on the outside of the.
It could, be either side of the stone wall.
Show me. Where are you
So
talking?
stone wall's here, and the cemetery's right here. So there's a little drive, whatever, that goes into the cemetery right there. And there's a stone like right here, it just gets probably,
There's a stone wall that basically comes from the road to the back side of the cemetery.
Right.
yeah, so this goes
Right.
down.
We're talking on the left-hand side.
Yep, so you could either put the fence right there, the wooden fence, the stockade fence is all the pickets, either on the inside, the cemetery side, or on the outside. Depends on where the trees are, because I used to put in,
The trees are on the outside.
okay, I used to put up fences all the time. And if you put it on the outside where the trees are, then you gotta deal, it's gonna be probably more expensive, because you gotta deal
Well,
with
the
the
problem is,
roots.
if we don't protect the trees, then we're screwed, because no matter who goes by them. As it is, we got a little red maple now. They don't sell red maples anymore. We're not allowed to buy them.
Not in Maine.
The state
Are
of Maine.
the trees getting damaged then by the,
Yes, because now they're going between the trees. In other words, like our stone wall runs here, there's a tree outside here, and they're running between the two.
okay, is there something we could take a look at it
Yeah,
and
I'm
see.
gonna look at it again, because I'm
You guys
thinking of
done
the
with
road.
these first?
I'm thinking of
Yeah.
the road that's going in through the cemetery.
All right.
I don't think I'm talking about the same thing
I'm
as you
coming
guys.
back to us, so I just want to clarify that. That was two different issues. All right. So do we actually go by state standard, or do we want to just keep the buffer of the 10 feet when we go out and do around the
Well,
road?
do the buffer if we can.
Yeah.
And
Ask the
then,
landowners,
but
and see what they say?
and then, like with Brackett, I mean, the whole thing was full of trees, and then around the outside was just full of crap too. And I can't remember his name.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's like,
Hutchins.
just don't leave stuff on the ground.
Yeah.
Take it all away. So, they cleaned it up.
Because it's like the next one, I'm assuming, I'm not say that wrong. I'm figuring you all are gonna go up to the next Brackett Cemetery.
Bracket close to the road. Yeah, if we ever
Just
finish
be
the
careful.
bracket in the middle of the field.
Because a few years ago, when I was in conservation, I actually went up there and trimmed out, this was quite a while ago, I actually fell off and landed
Yeah.
I ended up with a black eye, and I was like.
We won't pull Lois.
My ass over, but that's beside the point.
Damn.
The
Missed
road crew
opportunity.
though did a nice job of,
Well, what happened was, there used to be stairs. The first time around, when the state went through, they took out the steps that came down to the road.
from the cemetery
To the
down.
cemetery down,
It's
they
like
took
Oh,
those
wow.
out.
15
I wasn't
Yeah,
fast,
it's a
I wasn't
very
fast
big.
enough
Yep.
to catch them, so it was too late. And the two selectmen that were on board, by the time I caught up with them, it was too late. They'd already taken them out, and they'd gone down the highway, so on and so forth. The second time they came around, I kind of monitored it a little bit more, which Roland will verify. I made sure that they realize that is a cemetery, it is a veteran cemetery, we try to stay our way around it. If you dig too much into that, you might be in for a massive surprise, because the cemetery sits on the hill. You might bargain more than what you want. So I try to keep everybody out. That's just like when they were going around the cemeteries right there, because they were doing the road down our way. I made sure that I kept them kind of away from what I could, what they'd allow me to do. So,
Couple more months, the MOCA meeting will be in Waterboro. I don't have any more information other than the date. I don't know the time or the location just yet, but, it's usually free. There's usually a workshop, and they visit a local cemetery, and there's, stuff that we would all like. Actually, you're not gonna be there. Never mind. The rest of us.
Shelburne.
yeah, because I'm actually looking forward to that. I'm glad you came up with a date, because actually, I have to get a date to have our annual meetings or something. Thank you.
At the last meeting, one of the members of the public, Nancy Ruma, said that she had a cemetery on her property. She didn't know anything about it, who was in there or anything like that. And I didn't get a chance to talk to her that evening because she bolted out of here pretty quick. But I did make a visit like a week or two later. It is the Sam Page Cemetery of Sam Page Road fame. And
Fame.
yeah, the actual Sam Page. I think there's two Sam Pages in there, junior and a senior or something like that.
There is
Yeah.
junior and senior.
So, and that was one of the ones that I had never been to, and I didn't know, it was one of the ones in my list that didn't have a GPS location and stuff, so, I was kind of hoping it would be something that we didn't know about at all, but, we do know that, we got more information now, so.
People have very many mystery ones.
Yeah, we're cutting the list down of what's missing. Any word on the town email address or
I
website?
actually talked to Jennifer. Jennifer said that it was up to us how we want to do it. Jay was the one I wanted to talk to. Last time we talked about the town website and wanting to do that, you kind of came off like you knew a lot about how the computer kind of works.
I'm not saying I know a lot about it, I just had a lot of ideas of what
Yeah.
I've seen and things that I think should be on here about it, but I mean, I'd be willing to work with.
Because Jennifer wanted to know if we were willing to do it ourselves, and she just set you up if you knew what you were doing, or if you wanted to work with her and her do it. She said that was kind of an either way ballpark, and I was going to have you talk to Jennifer.
No, that would be fine.
That way, she knows what's on the plate, because she's our town administrator too, so she knows what's on the plate.
It's been a few years since we built websites, and I'm told things have changed, but,
Yeah, Sunday, it sounded like things had changed drastically.
yeah.
But I want to make sure,
Yep.
if you work out with Jen, would you be interested in maintaining and doing whatever you guys had to do?
If it's definitely possible, I would.
Because I showed her what they had in Shapley, and she says, oh yeah, you guys could do something like that, or whatever,
Yeah,
whatever
that one's
has.
real basic too, it's just.
Yeah, it's just basic, that's all.
But like the town of Islesboro, I know you've been to that website, that's really nice, they got all sorts of stuff in there, and so,
So whatever we can work, whatever's best, I mean, we can
Yep.
always upgrade it later on, but I figure if you want to talk to Jen would.
No, I'd be happy to.
the one thing I did learn from Ron, or that he learned the hard way, I don't think it was any legal action, but, he has, on the Shapley site, he lists all the cemeteries and who's in there and the whole 9 yards, the list that, basically, that he has. Someone got a hold of him one day and said, hey, you gotta take all the people that died in the last 25 years off that list. They can't be publicly on the,
Some silly law
Yeah.
It's-
to be able to.
That's
So if
probably a state statute.
yeah, so if we do add the list like we have here, if we do add that to our website, we just gotta scrub the list.
The other one I like that we have in the state statute, which I wish they'd gotten rid of, is a 75-year law. In other words,
Oh,
say you bought a lot and you're gonna wait 75 years, if nobody's in it, you're gonna wait 75 years before you can use it. I hate that law.
Did,
By the time it gets, like, we have one right now, and I'm just giving you an example, we have one in Maple Grove right now, and people bought it, ain't one in there, he intentionally bought it to do for paupers, but he never left it in his will. Nothing we can do about it until he's been gone 75 years.
Jesus.
So we're sitting on I think they said it was 12 plot lots.
Wow. Full body lots?
Yeah.
Wow.
And we're just sitting on it because there's nothing, because of the 75 law.
Is he buried there?
Oh, no, he's actually buried in
so it's just a
It's
Just a matter of
place you have to
time.
mow every
Yeah.
year.
Like, my life is so on and so forth.
That 25-year state law, was that verified, or is that just somebody who made a statement?
Ron told me, this
We
is
can
years
double
ago,
check that.
yeah.
Because we should at least follow up and
Because
find
it
out
doesn't make
what's
sense to me
legit.
once
Yeah.
they're gone, what's gonna make the difference?
Well, when you start talking about people being deceased, it's, you can't pull records of people dying.
Right.
Okay. You can't get it.
You
you
can
can't-
if you go to the right, because
you can't go to the state.
Jen's got 'em.
Okay, and it depends upon who you are,
Yeah,
for one thing,
yeah.
okay?
yeah.
And,
Got the
you know,
family.
the information is extremely delicate and, in a lot of cases, may be sensitive to,
Right.
to family members, et cetera. Yeah, so, I mean, it's, definitely,
I get
it
it.
definitely, would, bear verifying that there is a 25-year law, an actual statute that states 25 years. Anybody died in the last 25 years can't be listed on a public website or something
Have
of
an
that nature.
alias? They have an alias?
Can't, no, you just can't list them.
You know what we do, because I'm actually a member of the Living Foundation, because I'm a Living family member. What we do in that association is that when we do our family genealogy, we turn around and we actually, like myself, I'm not in the book, but I am in the book. They put unknown, they put the character, and that's all they put. You can probably do the same thing with this. You can put unknown, put like basically the unknown name, even though we would know it amongst us. Put the unknown name and put this person is, of a certain age is buried here, because I know they can only put so much of me because I'm in there, because they talked about that, even though I said it's okay, I don't really care. But it's like anything else, it's like writing genealogy. If you're still alive, believe it or not, they cannot put you in a genealogy book. So this is kind of basically, probably I'm figuring it's the same way, but they put me
It
as
might be.
unknown. They put me like unknown, whatever my number is in there, so.
See if we can get some of these
Something to
laws
think about.
changed.
So we need to go back to the town email address, half of that statement, okay? Is Jen going to set up email accounts?
Jen said that she'd work with us, however we needed to do.
Well, then we need to get that done,
Yeah, we
so
need to
that
talk to
we're
Jen.
not, having to, well, what the hell was Steve's email address so that I can send him, something? And Tracy, what's Tracy's email? I mean, just like we are on Warren Finance, being as we're dealing with town business, regardless of whether you think it's town business or not,
I basically put
it should be on the town town server.
I
Okay.
basically put Jen on hold until I had a chance to talk to Jay.
Okay, so now you're gonna go back and talk to Jen again.
Well,
Yep.
maybe, hopefully, if Jennifer's not busy when we leave here and he's got 5 minutes, maybe they can talk to each other and either
Yep.
get contact information so she can do it
Okay,
or a regular day or whatever it was, because I know that we had that small, quick conversation.
Yes.
And I wanted to make sure we were all there.
all right. Moving on.
All right.
And the answer's no to the next one. Can I answer your question?
One more thing for old business,
Yeah, we'll stay on old business.
the mission statement. What are we gonna do about that? We've all
The
looked
last
at it.
one that
Yeah, you came up with one, right?
you
Yep, we
came up
modified
with
it, and
was
then-
absolutely perfect, I thought.
Oh, did I add like one word or something like that?
You added like a couple of lines at the beginning,
Right.
yep.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
added to it, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't.
I thought it was an absolutely
I like
perfect.
that.
Yeah,
We'll go with
Yes.
what, that last
If you want,
revision?
make sure we all have a copy of the final program, and we'll submit it as necessary.
I've got it.
I will send that out tonight.
I'd like to re-have it.
Well, I'm quite sure that I have it as modified.
And am I sending it out as just a normal Word document? You don't need it as a PDF file or anything.
Whatever suits. If I can't open it, I'll stream it, somebody says, resend it.
You can open it. All right,
All
I'm
right,
good now.
new business, resignation.
Yes, no.
Since you decided to be sick and you didn't want to meet us at Chapley Corner Store, for wonderful food and enlightening
Are you
conversations.
throwing this at me?
Don't get sick.
Yeah, don't get sick.
No,
No,
It took me a month to get rid of whatever the hell that was.
Titus that you got now.
yeah, my boss has been out all week.
It literally took me a month, and I took so many different things trying to get rid of it, and, finally ended up, visiting my physician, and he put me on some doxycycline or something like that. It's a antibiotic, and that seemed to kick it.
Wow.
So,
It's nasty, whatever it is.
whatever it was, I could not get rid of it to save my soul. But I do apologize for not meeting
Well, you missed the fireworks.
Fireworks?
I am starting the process of moving
Oh, I've heard
out of
this.
Shapley. Still want to stay in York County, just a whole heck of a lot closer to 95.
Mm.
So when I'm a little further away, I'm going to pull back on my civic duties, obligations, whatever, here in Acton and Shapley, so.
I basically talked him into staying. I told him not to jump yet until he's gone.
Yeah.
Because if there's something he wants to involve himself, something he needs to involve himself, I don't want him to be totally shut off from it. So I've asked him to stay. He said, I had my way. I could kind of stay with us for a little bit longer.
Yeah, so I'm staying longer than I planned.
I just told him, we have to realize he is gonna leave us eventually. We'll have to try to cover where we can on his end of the world, and basically help out where we can, I guess. Biggest thing he'll have to get to us, or myself, or Roland, is the volunteer list that he's got going on.
Yo, your guy's gonna get every,
I don't know all your crap, you're keeping your crap.
No, you're not. You're gonna give it up.
But yeah, and I hate to see.
You have a lot of information that has taken a long time, to, gather and put together, and someone needs to be a custodian of that information to the point where we can go back and say, look, Steve found this, and let's, utilize the information that we already know, rather than have to go back and redo what you've already done.
He's been my partner in crime for
So,
the last year or
yeah.
so, which is
Yeah.
kind of cool. We've kind of.
It's been almost a year since we started
When
this.
we have something to say, we.
Well,
usually
you know,
beat each other up and say it.
It's not just Acton,
Done a lot for everything
you've done,
else.
Shapley, you're involved in a lot of other places. So,
Yeah,
just because you might move to Arundel doesn't mean we're gonna forget what your damn phone number is.
Yeah.
He'll change that speed now. What he do?
No, I have vocally offered my assistance, even when I'm out of here. Just because, I've invested so much, it's painful to let it go. So,
And my biggest thing is I hate to see him go because there's so much we can do. We still live by Perkins.
yeah, I still have a bucket list of Acton cemetery stuff to get
And
knocked
like I
out.
told him, technically he's on the committee for 3 years, when we all got. when we
Yeah, so
all
they
got
could
found
deny
in.
my,
Nah.
Contract.
Yeah.
Sue your ass.
I just don't want to see him give it up and then decide, well, gee, I want to come back for a day and help out.
I
and
don't
then,
sell the damn house, so,
I
Well, it's
just,
gotta be on the market. I
until
didn't
it's
see it.
sold,
Posted yet.
not yet.
and Steve says goodbye, he's staying. So I know, I'm not taking your resignation.
Are we gonna bury his resignation now?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, I put it back in my
It's gonna be
binder.
tabled.
Lots.
Yeah, yeah.
It's gonna be tabled.
All right, we're moving on. So, I did get a hold of, or a lady got a hold of me that's somehow related to Lois, because everybody is from Acton.
Yeah, she's actually through me through the Wentworth, sorry.
So she was asking about the Remick Cemetery, which is on Sandpage Road that we've cleaned up. You guys, I don't think were there.
Oh, that's a nice.
You
little
and
cemetery.
the man did it,
Yeah,
Wayne.
yeah. I think she lives up here during the summertime. She's down in Florida now. I'm not sure of her exact situation, but she said they would like to help. I don't know if it's her family, I don't know how old she is, and what kind of help they would like to give, but I will.
I did reach out to her and emailed her, but I never heard back.
Yeah, I know, I had an email, came back, said, oh, she's out of the loop for a couple weeks or something, so. But as soon as I find out more, I can get her involved, and, you know, whether she takes care of Remick Cemetery or another one, because she's related to Wentworth's and all this other stuff, or if, you know, she can pay for trees get taken down or whatever, we can figure out what she can help us out with. That would be great. Or maybe she has, you know, family, friends up here that would like to go to work for us.
Or she knows some tree experts.
Yes.
She can get us a good discount.
Yeah, that's part of the thing I was hoping, we do need somebody who knows a little bit more about trees than what we do.
And if we can, you know, maybe hit some of the civic groups around here. DAR, I know we had one lady from the DAR came out, actually helped at Remick. Ashes, I know, helps out a big amount. I gave them a report a couple weeks ago. We did 8 this past year with Ashes, did 8 cemetery cleanups. There was 140 man-hours, 46 people altogether worked. You know, if you worked 3 cemeteries, then I counted you 3 times. So, and most of those people were out of town. So if we can utilize them again, and, you know, everybody, you know, sometimes we only had 2 people show up, but, you know, other times we had more than a dozen.
My biggest thing is I wish I know we have another 4-H unit that's in the area now. She took over for the other 4-H'er that was in town. I know that, like, a lot of times your Boy Scouts and stuff need your Eagle projects. I wish, you know, if they're interested and they're out there. My other thing is too is Sanford High, and I don't know about any other high school, you're gonna have 20 hours of volunteer.
Community service.
Exactly. I'm more than willing if somebody wants to come out and even help us out for a little bit and sign off on their papers.
That's a good idea.
That's something that I've said for years. I actually had 4 kids work from Maple Grove when we needed community service hours.
Make sure we have a first aid kit handy then.
No, actually, these 4 kids were actually really good. I gave them, the tools I gave them were very simple.
Yeah, we don't have to give them something.
Clippers, that you actually just clip. No push lawnmowers, no nothing like that.
And I always thought one thing that, you know, that we could get volunteers to do, you know, just get some kid that maybe doesn't have any gardening skills, but, you know, write down everything that's on the headstones. Because like Maple Grove, I have, most of my stuff's not up to date.
Well, mine's not.
So.
Every time I think it's there, I end up going back and doing it again.
So yeah, if we could put our feelers out and try to bring some more people in, onesies, twosies, a group, whatever we can. Last month, I think, the Discover Maine magazine had an article about the murders in Newfield in 1900. There were 4 people murdered by this one guy who got sent away for life.
The shoes gave him away.
Yeah, his shoes gave him away.
Shoes gave him away.
And his wife ratted him out by accident.
Yep.
Like, oh, he always wear black shoes. Oh, he's wearing brown. What's up with that? So one of the people murdered was Elsie Horn of North Acton, who was buried up at the Man Road Cemetery. So she was a 75-year-old widow. She was a housekeeper that I guess stayed with the Goodwins in Newfield, and she was one of the victims. Well, I got a hold of the lady that wrote the article. It's C.J. Pike, who does like the weekly reporter updates for the town of Newfield. And I got a hold and said, hey, listen, through the Acton Shapley Historical Society, I'd like to see if you want to give a presentation about this. You know, because now there's an Acton connection, and it's just a neat story anyway, however horrible it is. And she's like, oh yeah. She got a hold of her friend Janet Caldwell, who her dad was heavily involved with the 47 fire. But anyway, Janet's going to do the presentation, and CJ will be there. And she was thinking probably in May, a Saturday in May, to do like an hour or 2 presentation over at the Historical Society.
I think I saw something. Wasn't something posted on that? I do, because I remember it. I don't know if it was on Facebook, or if it was on What's Up in Acton, but, you know, I do remember I do remember the Newfield murder presentation, and
Somebody
I
mentioned
don't
from
think
our
there was, I think it was,
organization.
I think it was a date to be determined, but it was basically, I think it was an announcement.
Well, when you find out, let us know.
Yeah, I'll let you know. And on a side note, she is writing an article about the Granges in the area.
What?
The Granges. And now that Jay and Tracy are part of the Historical Society, and Jay is on the Grange Committee, you might want to talk to her. She wants information of what life was like, what it did for the society back then, and if we can have her compile her resources and maybe help us get the Mouse and Lake
That's a good
Grange
idea.
up and running, that would be sweet. So, that's it for tangents there. Next meeting date?
She's going for a calendar.
Next, it would be the 22nd.
February 22nd.
Or,
There ain't no war,
no or? Why no or?
because there's no war there.
I know that's school holiday,
It's the
school
last-
vacation.
So what do we want to
Is
do?
it that late?
Well, you can either do it,
Yeah.
as close to the end of
It's
February as possible, or the 1st of April, first part of April.
Do you,
What's that?
It all depends on what, people,
How about-
how people feel about it.
how about March?
Yeah, I'm sorry. So I skipped a month.
Nice trip.
Shoot me.
Either that or March 1st. Because March is a long month.
I'm good with the 22nd.
I know. I can go as long as the
It doesn't
weather
matter,
holds.
one way or another.
So February 22nd? Is that fine with everybody?
It's good with me.
The Super Bowl is not on the
5
22nd.
o'clock?
Sounds
I
good.
had to guess, I'm going to say it's the 4th of February.
What?
The Super Bowl?
Oh,
Sunday
yeah,
fourth?
it's fourth or fifth, some,
I don't know if I would be happy or sad.
That's all right.
Well, the 2nd is a Friday, right?
Yeah,
So the 4th is that Sunday. and
Yep.
My shopping flyer was full of Super Bowl snacks.
oh my gods.
That'll be fine.
Buffalo
So
wings and such.
February 22nd will be our next date. I was going to tell you also, my friend Mr. Allen over here is actually going to run for selectman.
Oh, shut
come
up.
June. The problem is with that, if he wins, he would have to come off the committee.
I had to come off all committees.
So,
Is he running against anybody?
yes,
or-
he is. He's running against our current
There is one seat that
person.
is
There's one seat that's going to be.
coming open. Well, it's not really coming open. If he decides to run again, that's fine. But there is, his term is up in June, so.
So, like July 1st, you would,
Yeah, July 1st, he'd move over if he won in June.
Yeah, well,
So I just figured I'd let you all know this is
good to know.
gonna be,
Down-
this is what, it's getting lower.
Down to 2.
lower. But I just wanna let you all know, that way, don't be surprised. I mean, as much as I wanna see him win, as much as I don't wanna see him lose, can't afford losing, but it is what it is.
only God knows.
No, only the voters know at this point, but that's kinda how that
Whatever.
is.
However it goes, it goes. If I,
So I just figured I'd give you the other heads up, so we'll have to see what July 1st.
It'll
July
just be the
1st is
three
gonna
of
be
us.
A lot of wonders this year.
Yeah, really, it'll just be the 3 of us.
Yeah. Is that a bad thing?
so Steve, pass this down so that they can check it out and break the box open, because I've already had it
Box
open.
He's had it open, he's played with it.
I've had, I put batteries in it.
So you can put regular batteries in. Jen said you could get those batteries.
Yes, I know. I told her that we'd be coming back to see her. It functions, figuring out,
It's a walkie-talkie
not really.
for one, so you get to talk to yourself.
I don't know if that records.
No one hasn't got ideas in it.
Definitely
You
got
put your
to
glasses back on.
I know. I have to read the instructions.
Well, the thing is like I said, I really don't know much about GPSs. I think it's
Shouldn't
one
be
of those we'll
very
have to
hard.
learn as we go along.
All I know is TomTom.
Well, I just wanted something, I felt we needed something standard all the way around, that we could actually bring here to town hall and do what we have to do. And make sure they're on the same agenda as we are. We have more, appreciate it. So,
I've got plenty at home.
make sure y'all take your cards too, because
Yeah, it doesn't look that difficult.
You wanna take it home and play with it?
You can take it home and play with it if you want, but I gotta.
Why is it-
Graveyard on the
Why is it that you don't
property,
use your navigation system in your vehicle?
I have you to do that.
Battery too low for
All
full
right, is there
backlight.
anything else we need to discuss? Anything you wanna go over, or anything we've missed, something we should think about?
So this isn't a touch screen, because I'm touching the screen and nothing's happening.
We don't have anything else we need to discuss, I guess we're looking for a motion.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Good night.